Hello there, you awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me for Stay Free with Russell Brand, where we criticize mainstream media, bring you spiritual insights, have a bit of a laugh, muck around, and talk about potential solutions that could be born of new alliances. I do the show with my, and he's called this for legal reasons, on-screen assistant, Gareth Roy. Hello, Gareth.
Oh, hello there, Russell.
Have you seen the news?
I certainly have.
Good, isn't it? If you're watching this on YouTube or anywhere other than Rumble, we just streamed the first 30 minutes here on YouTube or wherever else you're watching it. I don't know how the world works, but then we're exclusively on Rumble, and we've got some amazing stuff when we flick over being exclusive, including James O'Keefe, that dude that did that Veritas sting. He's coming on the show to talk to us about Oklahoma and when he did that Pfizer sting and the consequences that he has faced since then.
I think one of those includes not having a job anymore.
He ain't got no job. Then there's except Oklahoma, which he's starting at great expense.
Yep.
We're also going to be showing you a clip of my stand-up special, which you get for free if you join our locals community. We can't show that on YouTube because it's me. I'm talking about the pandemic. It's crazy. You'll love it. And also, we're going to be talking about January the 6th and analysing the media's coverage of it. So you should find out how to join that locals community. People are on it right now, like people like Venezuelan. We're up for it. We love you. Look at this. Dawn's 1, Danish 7, Sensitive Heart, Thomas Beard. Join these people on a crazy voyage through current affairs as we move towards the light burgeoning within you right now, the light of pure love and consciousness. And if you don't want to move towards that light, you better be careful because you could be spied on right now by a drone. Because the main news in what you might call mainstream media, legacy media, is about that drone that Russia has brought down, an American drone. And what's fascinating when you watch this coverage is the piety around it. They're talking about this drone being brought down as if it's like the worst thing that's ever happened.
Also, Russia are denying bringing it down, just to make it clear.
We did not bring down that drone. That was our favorite drone. They're talking about this drone. Look at this on the mainstream news. Unless someone's briefed them to say, personify that drone, talk about that drone like it is a beloved family pet and like it's got a personality and that it's a really nice, it's a particularly nice drone. This was our best drone. Whenever we wanted to bomb a wedding in Syria, this was the drone we went to. But that's just my take on it, my hopeless conjecture. Let's go to the mainstream media's take, which is for some reason being hosted by Ross from Friends.
Tonight with the breaking news, the U.S. says a Russian...
No one told you life was going to be this way. Your job's a joke. We're broke. Because, of course, the banking system is collapsing all around you. Why is this bloke doing the news a bit sideways?
He always does it like that.
Is that how he does it? He's
style.
ABC News. Look, I've got some news for you. There's 23 more letters in that alphabet, baby.
Fighter jet collided with an unmanned American drone over the Black Sea. That drone worth up to 30...
The Black Sea sort of near Russia.
Yeah.
Isn't the Black Sea adjacent to Russia? Isn't the Black Sea in Russia? Like, it's not like unconnected. It was just flying around innocently over the Black Sea that's somewhat near to, and if you look at it on a molecular level, interconnected with Russia. Note how they report on this story. Watch this, and let me know in the chat and the comments if this is the sort of thing you've noticed before. They start talking about it financially. Unconsciously, they reveal their true perspective. That militarism is a financial system. This guy, Ross from Friends here, he ain't going to be able to do even 10 seconds more mainstream media news without talking about how much them drones cost. And I'll remind you that in Ukraine, like, kids and staff are dying, they're blowing up nuclear plants, all like a total mess. Not nuclear plants, we'd know about that, but I'm saying like energy centres and all that kind of stuff, aren't they, Gareth?
Yep.
I think it's fair for me to say, but let's see what the cast of Friends have got to say about it.
$2 million and crashing into the sea. And of course, it comes amid significant tensions already between the U.S.
Not significant tensions. It's a war. It's a proxy war. They are funding that war. I mean, is that an allegedly? Because we're still on YouTube,
yes,
right?
allegedly.
It's not necessarily a proxy war, but they are providing military equipment. They are providing lethal aid. He's already mentioned it's a $32 million drone. What about the lives of the Ukrainian kids that are being needlessly lost as this war continues? And I'm not trying to exculpate Russia. That's hardly my job, the exculpation of Russia in a military conflict. But I'm saying that the pursuit of a peaceful solution, particularly as it looks like there was a deal on the table prior to the escalation of conflict, and of course the neglect to mention how we got into this crazy situation with NATO infringing Russian territory, as has been argued, you don't even need a NATO now that NATO exists to agitate Russia. That's the whole point of NATO.
And Russia. The U.S. says 2 Russian fighter planes intercepted the Reaper surveillance drone as it was flying in international airspace southwest of Crimea. They say Russian pilots harassing the drone for 30 minutes.
harassing is a weird word. And do you know what? The word harassing is not just being used on ABC. Numerous mainstream media news outlets are using the word harass. Harass is a very person-oriented word. Harass has all sorts of connotations. It requires that the drone has an emotional reality. How dare you harass me? Harassment means like that there's an intention. Like the Russian fighter jets, they're like lascivious little sky perverts like coming up to that drone. Hey, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Hey, can I get a smile? Can I get a smile out of you, Toots? Say what? Is it a drone or is it Harvey Weinstein that's flying around up there?
The White House calling the pilots reckless, dumping fuel on the drone, making
All of the language, reckless, dumping fuel, like it's literally shit. Oh, those dirty MiGs, those dirty sons of guns up there defecating all over our automatic Skybird. It's only a remote control object, isn't it? There's some kid somewhere, some computer nerd in Vegas in a warehouse somewhere flying that drone, fresh from like bombing off a load of innocent civilians. I mean, I think it's just 90% of deaths in Syria. You can check those facts for me. Maybe we'll check them. But I think like something like 90%.
Well, that's what Daniel Hale went to prison for revealing that, wasn't it? That under Obama, 90% of drones.
Allegedly.
Oh, okay.
Because I prefer not to go to jail with Daniel Hale
I see now.
simply for saying that drone strikes cause more civilian deaths than legitimate target deaths. And the whole idea about drones as well is like, drones, they're immaculate. Like, as if it's somehow logical, rational. Not like the crazy violence of brown people that we're bombing. No, this is rational violence, bespoke, targeted. This is like Top Gun. And elsewhere in mainstream media, they literally say that this is like Top Gun. But I've never trusted drones. Do you know why? I don't like they ain't got a face. You know, there's no windows, and there's no need for a window because there's no one in it to look out of it. But that still makes it look like a relatively contemporary, shall we call it, pleasure aid oriented towards a female market.
Well done.
Like it, doesn't it? Look at its ergonomics. Look at its bulbous bonce.
No, I know what you're getting at.
If anyone's being harassed up there, it's those Russian fighter jets by that pervert.
19 close passes. One of the jets hitting the drone.
Passes as well. And this language cropped up, doesn't it, Gareth, elsewhere in mainstream media. They keep using harassment and dumping its guts and spittling its diddlywobs.
Also, but harassment and close passes doesn't suggest hitting it, does it? I mean, it was near it. Yeah, and also this is international waters and international airspace.
And the nation that it's into is Russia.
Right.
It's the Black Sea. It's right next to Russia. And yeah, you're right. Harassment and near misses. That's another way of saying nothing happened. Nothing happened today when some Russian jets went near a drone that simply shouldn't have been there. Now, we're not suggesting that Russia don't have their own international espionage operations or that Russia don't have their own imperialist projects, but I've heard that mentioned on the news already. So it's not like that needs to be additionally covered. What does need to be additionally covered is the mainstream media appear to be reporting on this event as if it's been disseminated from a centralised authority right down to the vocabulary that's being used. I.e., if you see a word like harassment suddenly being used and you've not seen it used in that context particularly before, then obviously it's a result of briefing. Let me know in the chat and the comments if you've noticed that a lot, that everyone seems to be singing from the same song sheet. And if they're all singing from the same song sheet and they're all singing from the same song, then it tells you that they're all from the same choir, that they're all from the same cathedral, that they've all got the same belief system, that they've all got a vested interest in the evangelicism of the state, of centralised system. And we're simply suggesting a true secularism, a true division of the religion of consumerism, commodification, and the militarization of the planet, particularly for financial ends. Is that too much to ask for?
No, that's absolutely right. I also think that it isn't the job of the mainstream media to convey all angles to this. And like when you read it in independent media, they say Russia is denying this, whereas on the mainstream media, it doesn't seem to suggest that.
Right, let's have a look a bit more mainstream.
Propeller forcing it down. Russia says the U.S. is to blame tonight and that their jet never hit the drone. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz
He did mention the denial at the end, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
He was being so sideways that I couldn't even begin to trust him.
He's pretty sideways.
This is just a sideways newscaster.
leading us off tonight.
The U.S. Reaper surveillance drone was
The mood of this person that's doing the U.S. surveillance Reaper's a man, life's a bitch, man, and then you die.
flying in international airspace over the Black Sea when the Russian fighter jets rapidly approached and began what would be more than 30
Rapidly approach. It's a jet. What do you want it to do? Gingerly approach, meekly approach. You can't drive a jet slowly. It'll fall out of the sky. That's Da Vinci's principles.
Minutes of reckless aerial harassment, much like this encounter with
Reckless aerial harassment. That's not unbiased reporting. That's how bad can we make this sound? What is the worst we could make it sound? Should we call it reckless aerial harassment? Because another way of saying it is it just went by. Isn't it?
Yeah.
a U.S. B-52 bomber in 2020. Interceptions are common, but never before like this. Not only
never before.
This is the worst thing that's ever kind of happened.
In the last few seconds since they started talking. Like, why is everyone behaving in that way? They're not even talking like normal people.
But I think we know exactly why they're behaving that way, because they're ramping up a narrative.
Oh, they're ramping up a narrative. Is that what they're doing? Do you think so as well? Because honestly, we're making this show for you. We want to know what you think. I mean, we've been watching this stuff. We've been trying to work out using our best efforts, haven't we, and all of our available insights and resources to try and present you a better version of this story so we can decide for ourselves whether or not walking towards Armageddon enthusiastically and dumbly is the best possible course of action.
Did the Russians shadow the drone? They made 19 close passes, sprayed fuel on the unmanned aircraft multiple times, while
one boy said that the drone got touched on its ass by the fighter jet. What is this weird list of sky crimes?
Shadowed the drone, so didn't touch it.
Followed
19
it.
close passes,
didn't touch it. Sprayed fuel on it. I mean, this is a war. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not the worst thing that's happening in a war. This is spending more time on what this drone has been through. This drone that, as far as we know, has no subjective reality. You know, chatbot GPT aside, we don't know what the internal reality of a constructed digital consciousness might be like, or even if such a thing is possible. It's not like the drone's going to come back from this and go, oh, bloody hell. What?
You weren't there, man.
Where's this drone? It's not Vietnam. None of them received the hero's welcome. What do they want for that drone? For it to be decorated? For it to
I'll tell you what they want for that drone is to build a lot more of those drones.
That's what they're saying,
by
isn't
their friends in the military-industrial complex.
Who's making these drones? Who's profiting from these drones? Where did that $32 million go?
One of the jets pulling up vertically as it approached the drone, then colliding with the drone's rear propeller.
They collided with the aircraft, damaging the propeller.
All of this energy, look, this guy's stood, all right, the same language is being used consistently throughout it. And also there's a press briefing on what amounts to what would happen if your car had a near miss on a freeway. Oh, well, yeah, well, the car went by, sort of my license plate fell off. That's it, it's just at a military level. There's all sorts of money being spent, there's all sorts of lives being ended, the escalation of tensions and a potentially earth-shattering conflict, and we're worrying about someone's propeller.
And essentially putting in a situation where it was unflyable and uncontrollable, so we brought it down.
I'm not able to see the drone with the kind of affection and sentiment that seems easily accessible to the military spokespeople. So I've had to... what I need is because I don't like its windowless face. I don't like its sort of dumb...
Well, they're trying to make us care about it, aren't they,
If they really want us to care about drones, they need to present them like this. Here's a drone that I can really learn to love. Have a look at this little guy and his beautiful little visage. Let's see it.
Where is it? We've spent time on this.
I wonder what they're thinking when yeah, that's what I need. That's what I need from a drone. Black rock, a CND sign, a little there. It was worth it. It's worth it to see that adorable little guy. They made it a bit like Justin Bieber. I'd like to know where they've got. That's our team back there. We've got youngsters that work for us, and that's what they do over the course of the day. While we're trying to bring people together from across the political spectrum, while we're trying to create new narratives to help us challenge centralised power and bring peripheral figures together in a new union, some people are there getting that Justin Bieber
I would
together.
pay $32 million for that.
Well, tell me that either that was actual size. I can think of several uses for that device. Looks to me like it could be a valuable ally in times of deep loneliness. MSNBC similarly presented the conflict. Get ready. Similarly presented the conflict in a favourable, hysterical and hyperbolic light with this piece of reporting.
General McCaffrey, it's a little bit like the opening scenes in Top Gun.
Bit reductive. It's not Top Gun, real life.
Also, like, what is that the thing that they're getting to get us to care about this with? It's like Top Gun, but in reverse.
Reverse Top Gun. Gun Top. Nugpot. Nugpot. Think of a backwards Top Gun in which Tom Cruise seemingly gets younger. That is what happened in Top Gun 2. Like, now this is fascinating as well as simplifying it and presenting it to you like you're a dumb idiot, which is you know how they see you. They also, you start to think, who is this guy that they're chatting to? He looks like he got a bunch of authority. He seems like a pretty serious person. I mean, look at his face. I'm a bit scared of him. Like, trust your instincts. How do you feel when you look into the eyes of that man? I don't want to make a judgment. I'm a non-judgmental human being as best as I can be, but let's have a look.
The first one, with the roles reversed here, they were obviously brazen.
Brazen? So brazen. This is an actual war. These kind of, like, it's not like Jane Austen. Sir, I am undone. It was uncustomary to arrive for tea less than 15 minutes early. You know what I mean? It's like, this is about a comedy of manners. This is like an international global conflict, much of the money of which is being funneled towards the military-industrial complex. There seems to be some daft protocols that are concerning these folk mostly.
To believe U.S. defense and intelligence officials, which we do. And I know this is one of the things that
said, if you believe intelligence officials, which we do. Of course we do.
And why wouldn't you?
Because they tell us what to say.
I didn't even know why I even questioned that as a possibility, as if there's anything other than one objective truth that we're questioning here.
It haunts our national security professionals, especially in the military side, that something like this could precipitate an escalation.
We've got to recognize that Putin is desperate. Strategically, he's in checkmate.
Putin is one of the baddies. He's a bad guy. You can't rely on Putin. Can we go back to the shot where you can see the picture on the dude's wall for me, please? Yeah, if you spool forward to that. Because when you look at this guy, you might think, who is this person that they are citing and using to underwrite and legitimize their narrative? A person that they're able to bring on to talk punitively and pejoratively about Putin. Look on the background. There's a picture of him standing next to Bill Clinton there. So you figure this dude's got a little previous. He's got some connections. Well, Seymour Hersh, come on, guys. So Seymour Hersh, who's been a guest on this show, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, wrote about Barry McCaffrey in this piece. He wrote, former General Barry McCaffrey may have commanded his troops to kill retreating Iraq soldiers after the ceasefire had been declared and then failed to properly investigate reports of killing unarmed persons and an alleged massacre of hundreds of Iraqi POWs. So you should be kind of told that the source we're using, wouldn't you like to know that? Like when MSNBC, by the way, the party of peace, the party of love, the party of liberalism and freedom, we're just going to bring on this potential warmonger allegedly to give you a warmonger monger's perspective on this situation. Also, the drone that's worrying about sort of harassment and stuff. Let's have a look at the media and military connections first.
Interesting.
This is great because often MSNBC, CNN, and I'm sure other media organisations as well, it's common practice. Let us know in the chat and comments if you've noticed other mainstream media, so Fox, whoever, man, because we think they're ultimately funded in comparable ways. I said that when I was on Fox the other day. They bring on experts that are apparently objective, albeit experts. There's a degree of subjectivity, of course, because expertise means by its nature esoteric knowledge, but check out what they don't reveal is the financial connections that many of these experts might have to various organizations, in particular in this context, military industrial complex organizations. Check it. Many of the retired military leaders employed by the networks as paid contributors have secondary affiliations. I wouldn't say they're secondary, I reckon primary, because you know what money does to a person, that are rarely, if ever mentioned, leaving viewers in the dark about whose interest they're promoting. None of the leading networks, including MSNBC, makes a regular practice of announcing its military analysts' financial ties to the Pentagon, connections that could colour their on-air comments. During its Ukraine coverage, MSNBC even failed to include disclosures when the network invited on former Homeland Security Secretary J. Johnson, who serves on the board of directors at Lockheed Martin, the world's biggest defense contractor. Now to get an unbiased look at this conflict, someone who profits financially from there being a conflict. Now to give us some insights on war, a person who may have committed war crimes in the past. This is extraordinary that you're not given that information. Let me know in the comments and chat if what you would like is a media that are culpable and accountable accountable, that talk to you like an adult, that the information isn't predicated on your stupidity, a kind of parental dynamic where you're instructed rather than informed, where centralized information is clearly disseminated and the DNA of that centralized authority is found in the vocabulary. If you keep seeing the word harassment all of a sudden, which isn't a word we used to associate with drones, coming up in their coverage, or words like, like the force and the dumping of the fuel. Now, I know there's going to be a continuity if there are certain facts in the story, but note the adjectives. The adjectives, like it rapidly moves, like jets move rapidly. What are you going to do the jet for next? Or it moved at the speed of sound. It brushed sound to one side in an indelicate manner. That's an attempt to tell you what conclusions you should draw from the information. Well, I think what we do, I hope, let us know in the channel comments, this is what we're really trying to do. We say, this is what we think. We recognize our own biases and our own flaws and inability to gain access to any kind of objective truth. So as part of the discourse and dialogue, do you reckon that we might better understand the form that is in front of us? We try our best to remove the biases. And the only way we can do that is by being open and accountable.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be probably called a Putin lover or something.
I don't love Putin. I don't even know him.
Well, exactly.
It seems a bit scary.
And when you go on Bill Maher and talk about MSNBC, it is for these very things. You know, that's not responsible by a mainstream media network to have people on who directly profit from war and go on to talk and ramp up all these situations that are going on. We don't know. I mean, the way that they use those adjectives and certain words to create a narrative that we literally do not know if that was the case. And yet, as far as the mainstream media are concerned, this is just another escalation of tensions between Russia and the US.
So that's all offering. And do you remember the sort of the hectoring tone of that dude I was on Bill Maher with? He was like, give me one example of the mainstream media doing anything as bad as what Fox has done. And I'm not trying to sort of get high on my own little farts here, but if you look at...
Well, I don't know. I mean, it depends how bad you think escalating a war to Armageddon is.
It is really bad, isn't it? It's worse than those text messages, I think. And also, like, that you should at least have a kind of conscious awareness that, look, admittedly, we do get people on the channel to advocate for military action that have financial ties to weapons manufacturers. I mean, that's like, if that is your deal, you're not like in the world's, hey, look at us, we're fantastic.
But luckily, we're not reductive about it. We don't just compare it to Top Gun in reverse. Don't worry.
This is a bit like Top Gun, but upside down Top Gun, like the first Top Gun where Maverick did go upside down. Do you understand that? Can you remember a fictional film? Remember a fictional film. Now shut up. Now sit down. Now vote for one of these two bunches of bastards. Here's some facts about those drones that they're trying to get you to feel sorry for, simply because they cost 32 million quid. Between 2010 and 2020, US drone strikes killed up to 16,000 people. Bloody hell. 2,200 civilians were killed and 454 children. Now, if you think of the time they just devoted to that, I saw a graphic earlier, I don't know if we've had time to show you, where they made the drone turn a different color after it had the fuel. Like someone's going, right, listen, that's when they dumped the fuel on that drone, those bastard jets. Why don't we depict the drone turning lime green? They've went through a lot of trouble to do that. And like Ross from Friends getting all agged out. The other woman sort of saying like, oh, we're doing our best over here. It's like Top Gun. 454 kids have been killed. When was that? I thought, we work in media, and I sort of, I've heard it before, but you sort of forget. Children, like your children, like they're not worse than your children unless you've got some crazy belief or value system about the human life. The United States Department of Defense remains the largest a customer for unmanned systems technologies with an estimated $7.5 billion budget for 2021. I don't know that it happens in such an overt way as this, of them going, oh no, people won't care about this enough because a drone is by its nature an unpersoned craft, they won't give a toss. But what they do is through their reporting try to escalate not only the tensions between Russia and America, but the feelings, the affinity. And I don't think that kind of patriotism has the hold it once does, because I mean people are recognizing that there's a difference between the American people, beautiful human beings trying their best in life, and the systems of governance and control that are biased in very particular, and I would argue nefarious ways. And even the individuals within those systems, if you want the absolute truth out of me, I don't think are especially culpable because it's a systemic bias that locks them into a mindset that they can't control. So when we're joking about these people on the news even, like Chomsky famously observed, if you didn't hold at your heart the interests of the system, you wouldn't be sitting in the chair. They weed you out. They weed you out when you're at school. They're looking for recalcitrance. They're looking for rebellion. They're looking for radicalism. You've known it your whole life. You've known your whole life that if you're your authentic self, you'll be punished for it, that you have to allow yourself to be subsumed by this system. Well, not anymore. This is a time of mutual awakening where together we can at last, using these technologies, create new movements of confrontation.
Shall I give you some very unconnected news, Ross?
Is it connected?
It's not in any way connected.
Okay, well, this is some stuff that's not connected to anything we've just been saying. It's just something to mull over, and then we'll have a look at that little tweet about Russia and stuff.
So the US has increased its dominance as the world's top arms exporter. So new research shows the United States accounted for 40% of the world's weapons exports in the years 2018 to 22, selling armaments to more than 100 countries while increasing its dominance of the global arms trade. But that's completely unconnected to any of this, so I don't think about it.
All of the reductivism, the simplification, the mentions of Top Gun, the fetishizing of a drone is not connected, or even the war itself is not connected to 40% of the world's weapons. That must mean there's a significant number of military conflicts where both sides are using weapons that they... Shame that the weapons aren't friends, and so...
Well, maybe if you put faces on them, they will be.
Put faces on those drones, and it might be like the film Fox and the Hound.
Right.
Now, as if I recall, in the end...
I wondered when you get to this metaphor, Mr. Brown.
The hound, in the end, will not kill Todd because it remembers they were mates when they was little. And isn't that the real message? Here's a tweet from someone called Medea Benjamin going, US complains that its Reaper drone conducting routine operations over the Black Sea was intercepted by a Russian jet. Why are US drones flying over the Black Sea? Routine operations or routine provocations? And remember, it's not that long ago, is it? Since we were all meant to get up in arms about a balloon floating. How dare you? How dare you balloon us in the Dakota? I will balloon you so hard. We'll $400,000 million missile you straight up in your balloon holes. Right? Well, it makes you feel like we're being asked to take certain information seriously and ignore other information. What about when Poland fired their missiles or whatever?
Ukraine fired the missiles that they said was Russian into Poland, but it turned out it was from Ukraine.
Nothing to do with bloody... They're always trying to package information in order to direct you towards a particular outcome. Now, maybe all of us do that in various ways of our communication. Maybe I want you to like me or something. But what I'm not trying to do, I don't think, is take over the whole planet in order to support the arms industry. And I think that's better, ultimately. So look at this. What was that drone even doing there? 6,000 miles from the Black Sea to the United States. That's 6,000 miles that drone traveled.
Yeah, from North America to...
the Black Sea. That's 6,000 miles. Now let's see how far the Black Sea is from Russia. It's 0 miles. There's no miles because it's touching it and on occasion on it. And bits of Russia are under it.
Yeah, there might be like a nice beach or something.
Right, you could go and stand in there on your holiday. I don't know, because it might not be warm enough. I don't know where you go on holiday if you're in Russia, because I've been deprived of access to that type of culture because I was brought up to think that Russian people were somehow fundamentally different from me, so that I became a little drone, ironically, within the system, unthinking, unquestioning, consuming the information spoon-fed to us by systems of culture that are not our friends and that want us dumb and distracted, so that our only means of self-soothing are commodity and consuming.
How many of these stories do you think they think are going to eventually work? Because it's amazing, isn't it? Like you had Nord Stream, and then Nord Stream has now surely gone through the filter of people going, come on, we did Nord Stream. Then there's the balloon thing, then there's the missiles thing, now there's this.
I think they think they can do it endlessly.
Keep doing it. Yeah.
Endlessly do it. Now, to pivot for a while to other aspects of corruption, and we'll be coming off of YouTube in a minute to be exclusively on Rumble for a number of reasons. We've got James O'Keefe, that dude from Veritas, who done that sting on that geezer that worked for Pfizer. It's brilliant. You'll love talking to James O'Keefe, I think, because he's going to tell us more inside info about that Pfizer sting, which we obviously can't talk about on YouTube. I'm going to show you some of the stuff from my stand-up special, Brandemic, which you get for free if you join our membership community, which you definitely should do, or you can buy it for a one-off $20 fee. And right now, we're going to tell you that, you know, that banking crisis, you know how it's nothing to do with 2008? Guess what? It's nothing to do with 2008, except for two people that worked at banks that collapsed in 2008, i.e. Lehman Brothers and Deutsche Bank, worked at these banks. Check this. Joseph Gentili joined Silicon Valley Bank in 2007 after leaving his position as the chief financial officer at Lehman Brothers Global Investment Bank. And why did you leave your last job, sir? No reason, really. Just fancy the change. Just found myself with that cardboard box and a plant wandering around the streets like, oh my God, it's happening again. Meanwhile, recently appointed Chief Risk Officer Kim Olsen worked at Deutsche Bank from 2007 through 2010 when it lied to investors about its mortgage-backed securities, the collapse of which led to the housing crisis.
Also, she wasn't very good at her job. She was a Chief Risk Officer.
Okay, I don't see any risks here. Oh, Papa's going to get a brand new pair of spats. Let's do this. Oh no, I've ruined everything for everyone. Luckily, the consequences will only be felt by ordinary people and not by the banking community. If only we had someone that could come and explain the opacity of the financial world in broad Cockney. If only we had an ordinary working class economist come on here and decode their programmatic lingo into stuff that we can understand. Unravel the nomenclature of deliberately obscure financial chitter-chatter into something that we, the people, can easily discern and break down. Yes, we now have him. He's the Del Boy of the Dow Jones. It's Gary Stevenson, an economist, inequality activist, and working class person. Gary, what's up, mate?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on. What a fantastic introduction.
Good, wasn't it? Made it up using me imagination. Can you tell us, please, what's been going on with all this hullabaloo? Is it like the last one, the 2008 one? Is it up? Will taxpayers end up inadvertently round the block, round the back, paying for it in some sort of way? And also, how do they keep doing these things? What are they doing? I know it's something to do with interest rates went up by 4.5% and they'd bought these bonds and it all went wrong. Like, so just give us stuff so that we can understand it and then resent it and attack it.
All right, so I'll start with your first question. Is this going to be like 2008? Markets are still concerned that this could spread. It's unlikely, but possible. Most likely it will be kept to this one bank, Silicon Valley Bank. There's worries about Credit Suisse today, which is a much, much bigger bank. Probably it won't happen. We have to hope it won't happen because if it does happen, it'll be a disaster for everyone. Let's assume it stays just within this one bank, Silicon Valley Bank. If that happens, the banking system will survive and ordinary people will not be massively affected. And the reason for that is it's only one bank going under. And the loss, which sits with Silicon Valley Bank, will be spread throughout the whole of society and everyone will pay a few dollars. I think the way that it has been communicated has been pretty misleading. We've been told it's not a bailout and essentially nobody will pay. If there's a loss, somebody has to pay it. In this case, you know, they don't just disappear. In this case, basically, anyone who has a bank account will pay a little bit more over the next few years, and that will be how it will be socialized. I think the most interesting thing is the point that you make, basically, about, in many ways, this is a repeat of 2008 in the sense that the banking system itself, and in this case, Silicon Valley Bank, most of the deposit holders are venture capitalists, big businesses, wealthy people. They are going to be protected, and the loss will be socialized. For me, what I think is most interesting is the way that this reminds me of actually the mismanagement of the COVID economic crisis and the way that our society mismanages economic crises in general, which is as soon as the crisis hits, wealthy people can contact the government and they can protect themselves, and ordinary people are not protected. Go for it.
Nice one, mate. Thanks for respecting the sign. I like what you said about the COVID pandemic and the mismanagement of the financial aspects of that. Oh yeah, I am talking. Sorry about that, mate. But I wanted to point out that we are still on YouTube and we are bound by their guidelines. In a minute, we'll click over onto being Rumble, where we can just speak freely and say whatever the hell we like. So just wanted to alert you to the fact that we have to nimbly, like linguistic Nijinsky's, trap our way through the guidelines that are set by the WHO that YouTube and their parent company Alphabet adhere to. So you're saying, mate, that this is yet another example of creating financial conditions that are beneficial to elites, or at least are not punitive to the elites, while punishing ordinary people, even if not directly. So when Joe Biden goes, our taxpayers won't pay this, what does he mean really, mate?
It's an example of a management of a crisis in such a way that the rich are protected. And the communication given to ordinary people is that nobody will pay the cost. And I think the best example of this is at the beginning of COVID. Do you know how much money the US government has given out since the start of COVID? How much money they're giving out in total? It's $8 trillion. That is $24,000 for every man, woman, child, and baby in the US. So if there's a family out there, family of 5, mum, dad, 3 kids, if they don't have an extra $24,000 each, someone else has got it. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were going to give out $8 trillion, I would think I should do an analysis of who's going to end up with that money. But was that analysis done?
I'm guessing that's one of your rhetorical questions. I'm seeing your style now. You're using rhetorical questions. You're a skinhead using rhetorical questions.
No analysis was done. No analysis was done of who ends up with that money.
Done some analysis, Gary. It's standard procedure.
Well, you won't be surprised to know I've done some analysis where I'm from. We pride ourselves on understanding things fully. Listen, the reason that money was needed is because the spending of the rich collapsed, all right? If you're an ordinary person, what are your expenditures? Rent, mortgage, food, bills. During COVID, you're still paying them. If you're a very wealthy person, luxury holidays, going to the theatre, going to bars, you probably know about that kind of stuff, Russell.
I'm self-made.
Those expenditures couldn't be made, which meant the spending of the rich collapsed. It was replaced by the spending of the government, which means the government pays your wages, you pay your bills, you pay your mortgage, it goes to a rich person, and he can't spend it. $8 trillion funneled through ordinary people to the rich. Now, what do you think will happen? That's $24,000 per person. So that goes to the rich. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, same in the UK, to all of the richest people in the country. What do you think will happen if in a period where the economy is closed, we give hundreds of thousands of dollars or pounds to all of the richest people in the country? When you reopen, you'll have inflation and a cost of living crisis. It was obvious. And if you don't believe me, go look at my YouTube. In June 2020, I predicted massive increase in inequality, massive increase in inflation, and a cost of living crisis, because that is what happens when you massively increase inequality. And people need to understand that when crises happen, we need to start looking at them through the lens of inequality. Who wins and who loses?
I like it. My favourite bit was the bit where Gary goes, and if you don't believe me, right, you can ask my mum, because she's seen me do that analysis, blood. That was my favourite bit. Mate, what about Julian Assange's thing, that the function of government is to take money from public hands and to pass it into the private sector, whether that's through military action, exploitation of crisis, or even in economic situations like this one, look for opportunities?
I think if you look at the last 3 years, that is definitely what they have done. There's a question of why they did it, whether they knew they were going to do it. So I worked in finance for a long time, and I studied economics. I went to the London School of Economics, I went to Oxford. From my observation of wealthy people who understand economics, I suspect they probably did it by accident. Because I think what it is a mixture of greed and stupidity. What they want is to protect their interests. As long as they're protected, that's all they care about. So they go in. I think this SVB example is great. It's a great example because straight away, these guys on the phone to the government, bail us out, get your bailout. Nobody talks about who wins, who loses. You know, I think at the beginning of COVID, we had such an amazing example of that. We are so privileged to have witnessed such an example of mass elite stupidity, right? £700 billion, $8 trillion given out. Nobody in the mainstream media said who ends up with that money. It's a simple question, right? And that money is in the bank accounts of rich people now. And now we have a cost of living crisis for ordinary people, but ordinary people can't afford, in many cases, to feed their kids at the same time as the biggest and fastest ever increase in millionaire and billionaire wealth. The average US billionaire doubled their wealth in the first 1 year of COVID. The average UK billionaire increased their wealth by £630 million in 1 year. And yet here we are now, where ordinary people, in many cases, can't heat their homes, can't feed their kids, and we're talking about it like there's no money. What ordinary people need to start thinking, when there's a crisis, when your cost of living falls, please, please, God, look at the rich and say, is it falling for them as well? If your life is getting worse and their life is getting better, probably what's happening is inequality is increasing. If you look at the statistics, that is what's happened here.
It's a brilliant lens to provide, mate, because it does seem like the very definition of a wealth transfer, an energy crisis that leads to profitability for energy companies, even though they receive them subsidies, a financial crisis that appears to somehow or another benefit financial elites, wars that benefit the military-industrial complex, medical crisis that benefit the pharmaceutical industry. Before you know it, crisis becomes the state that most benefits the elite, so crisis for ordinary people becomes de rigueur. Gary, that is a fantastic contribution to our show. I hope you're going to come back and contribute more. You can follow Gary on his YouTube channel, Gary Economics, but maybe Gary's the very kind of person that'll be joining us over here at Rumble, where free speech is something we pride ourselves on. That was a brilliant contribution, mate. How did you end up being in the financial industry before you go? What was your first job?
I grew up in East London. I went to London School of Economics, and I won a card game. Pre-financial crisis, one particular large American bank used to hire one trader through a card game, and I won it.
He gambled his way into the financial industry, and now he's gambling his way back out, all the while sipping a cup of tea and spitting truths. It's Gary Stevenson. Gary, thanks for that fantastic contribution. We'll speak to you soon, mate. I'll be in touch. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much. There.
Gary?
Well, I'll tell you what, Gary. Don't you like someone coming on?
He's the Cockney version of me.
No, you don't need to worry, because
really,
he's like on normal. No, don't be frightened. On normal news, you would have a financial person, wouldn't you? It'd be someone in a suit. He's that guy. Like, right. Imagine this was normal news, and now me and Gareth, we're like the mum and dad, although we're both dads, because I don't know, we're a gay couple in this. We're the normal news, and now it's the financial person, this threatening, menacing, Stewie from Family Guy, Snatch supporting cast member, Gary Stevenson, a financial expert who's going to menace your ass. Yeah. I come over here to tell you some truth, dog, blah, blah, blah. That sort of thing, you know, you get the idea. Anyway, I didn't say it to his face, though, did I?
No, you were very good. That was very enjoyable.
To laugh at it.
Let's hope he does come, then you have Gary and Gareth.
We'll put him over there if he's going to bother you.
Okay.
You don't need to be menaced. You're fantastic, Hugh. Now, why don't you click over? If you're watching this on YouTube, we're gonna drift now. Yeah, I'm gonna use more slang. I think makes me seem cooler. Yeah. I don't even know if that is slang
as well, aren't you?
I'm going to up the slang. I'm up in the slang. It's the only way to listen. There's someone that's come on here that's more working class. Now we're going to have to raise it. You made the wrong decision by going the sort of glam rock Mark Bolan route, but it's too late now. You're going to have to geezer it up. We want you to join us over on Rumble now, because we're going to be bringing James O'Keefe on, telling us about the inside scoop on that Veritas story. I want to know where that dude is now. You know, the bloke that they done that date with. Yeah. Well, it's Pfizer, and obviously I can't tell you the stuff he said because it's not allowed to be on YouTube. We're also going to show you a bit of my stand-up special, which you can buy for a one-off price of $20. In fact, at 6 o'clock, it's going to be available, and we're going to show a clip of it right now, but there's no way we could show that on YouTube, could we,
no
Gareth?
Chance. No
it's
chance.
Got too much stuff, too much truths.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and then we're going to talk about January 6th.
You want working class? Get an eye of this.
Oh, working class. Oh, Doc Cotton, Oliver Twist, eat your heart out. Because here we go now for some ranting and raving from me. So YouTube, click over, watch us on Rumble. This stuff's completely free over there, and we can speak freely. You'll love it. Have a look at my stand-up special, Brandemic, right now. YouTube, see you later. Check out